Hey guys, as you all know, the Lego Batman movie has just come out, and one of the great things about it is the sheer amount of characters that are in the movie. The Lego Minifigure Limited wave associated with the movie has a number of great characters in it, however they did miss some of the important ones out. Today I'm going to go through the characters and figures from the movie that I think deserve to be made if a second wave is ever to be released. I haven't included any of the characters that are available in other sets or in the original wave, as I don't think they need to be repeated. So here are the characters that I think are a must to be included. First up, we have Crazy Quilt. He is an unnamed noted painter who leads a double life as a master criminal. He gives the plans for his crimes to various henchmen through clues left in his painting. He becomes blind when a henchman double crosses him, and he volunteers for an experimental procedure that restores his vision, but is unfortunately left unable to see anything but bright colours. He is then combined with a special helmet that emits bright colours, enabling him to see under most circumstances. It allows him to hypnotise his victims, and it can also project lethal laser beams, blinding lights, and the ability to create some constructs similar to the Green Lantern. And it also allows him to see. His figure is bizarre, colourful, and I really like the helmet piece, and I think it would just be a great figure to add on to the collection, as he's a character that doesn't really get made into any sort of action figures or toys much at all. Next up we have Killer Moth, who's personally one of my favourite DC villains. I'm a sucker for quirky characters, and his bright costume and bizarre similarities to Batman have always made me very fond of him. I first became aware of him because of the first Lego Batman game on the Wii when I was just a lot younger. The original Killer Moth was a prisoner identified only by his prison number, 234026. While in prison, he reads a newspaper article about Batman and decided to set himself up as an anti-Batman, hiring himself out to criminals to help them elude capture from the police. When he was released from jail and using the mantra Killer Moth, he made a fair bit of money and started building things called the Moth Cave, modelled upon photos of the Bat Cave in the newspaper article that he'd read, and he even made an awesome Mothmobile, which I think just looks absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to see a Lego set of that one day. We've had Killer Moth in Lego before, as I said, in the video games, but also in another set, but I think this new design is just fantastic. I like the newly done helmet with the printed mask and helmet piece, and I think the wings look absolutely fantastic and are much better than cloth pieces. The next villain I'd like to see is Gentleman Ghost. I became familiar with this character from Batman the Brave and the Bold, but basically, after being killed, he evades death and somehow becomes a sort of phantom, even though he doesn't know how he did this. And he learns that he must kill those who killed him in order to finally be at peace. Unfortunately for him, his killers were Hawkman and Hawkgirl in a previous life, so Gentleman Ghost can never be at peace, as Hawkman and Hawkgirl continually reincarnate as new people. It's pretty tragic, right? In terms of the figure, I love the simple and elegant colour scheme and design from the movie. I think it would translate perfectly to an actual figure. The translucent head is amazing, and I just love the look of it. Next up is Clock King. There's not much about Clock King known, and he's a bit of a strange character. He has a pretty detailed backstory, albeit a short one. But basically, he's a killer for time, precision, kind of riddles as well. Based on this figure, I'd love to have it, as I think the headpiece is really fantastic. I like kind of normal headpieces, such as the Eraser from the first wave, and I really like the intricate and colourful, wacky design of the torso and the leg piece. The next guy sounds made up, but I promise that he's not, and he appeared in the original Batman animated TV series, and his name's Condiment King. Yes, as in the stuff you put on food to make it taste better. He was designed by the creators of Batman the Animated Series as an homage to the 1966 TV series, as an homage to some of the wacky and often themed villains that were very punny and made a lot of jokes and wordplay. I think his design's fantastic. I love the weapons, and I think he's just perfectly translated from the animated series into Lego, and he's probably one of the ones I'd want the most after Killer Moth. Next up is Hugo Strange, and he's probably one of the more well-known villains on this list, due to his prevalence in the Arkham video games of late. He's generally portrayed as a scientist, psychiatrist, or a general genius. He was Batman's first recurring villain. He's a pretty simple looking villain, but the beard piece and his history as a Batman villain make him a must-have. Next up is Mutant Leader, who before I actually made this video didn't know that he was in one of the sets that's coming out from Toy Fair. but he appeared on TV in a few Batman animated projects and was the leader of the mutant gang. He's had some pretty famous fights with Batman over the years. Again, he's pretty simple, but I like the face printing as it almost looks like a terrifying version of Cyclops from the X-Men. Since he's in another set, maybe we could remove this one, but I think he's just a cool figure to have anyway. Moving on to the next one is Dr. Phosphorus. Dr. Alex Sartorius became this terrifying villain after being exposed to radiation after a crack developed in a reactor core. He's eternally burning and seeking revenge on those who did this to him. There's something about the translucent Lego pieces that I just love, combined with his flaming skeleton design. I think this figure is really unique and absolutely fantastic, and money is burning a hole in my pocket to have a chance to buy him. Next up is Egghead, who is a classic villain from the 1966 Batman TV series. Much like King Tut from the original Wave 1, he's a great villain that's a must-have for those who watch the original series. Personally, I was introduced by the series by my dad when I was just young, and it has some nostalgic value to me, even though he looks a bit strange, as you can see from this picture of him in the original series. I think he's just a cool figure to have with a unique headpiece. Next up is Captain Boomerang, and he's the last villain on my list, and many of you would know him from the latest Suicide Squad movie. However, this design more conveys his comic book look, and I've always loved this book, and who doesn't want a few more Australians here and there. For the next section of the video, I thought I'd include some of the Batsuits that were seen in the movie, because you can never have too many Batman minifigures, right? First up is Bat by Gaslight. This was in a pretty grainy photo that's hard to see sometimes, but it's a reference to the comic book Gotham by Gaslight, and it's a steampunk version of the Batman. The Batsuit is gritty, sleek, and one of my favourites on this list. If the cow came with the goggles, this would be absolutely perfect rendition of the look. The next three are all together in this picture, and they are St. Patrick's, El Murcielago, and Batriot, or Batriot, however you want to say it. St. Patrick's is in reference to St. Patrick's Day, an Irish cultural day, hence all the fantastic green and the clovers. El Murcielago is a Mexican-themed suit that is said to be culturally insensitive in the trailer as a bit of a joke, and sure, it's a bit over the top, but the sombrero cowl, maracas, and the printing on the suit make it look so fantastic. Lastly, the Batriot, or Batriot, is the symbol of everything American, including the button-up top and pinstripe pants, which look absolutely fantastic. The printing on the cowl really tops off the look, and anyone around the world would love this. Next up is Krampus Bat, which is pretty much Santa Batman, and you can never have too many Christmas-themed Legos after all. It's an easy way to justify to your loved ones as well for buying more Lego, since you're really just buying Christmas ornaments for the family. Next up is another ridiculous one, and it's Merbat. It's got shells over the bat nipples, I'm looking at you George Clooney, and the black mermaid tailpiece make this over the top and absolutely has to be included in a set or second wave of minifigures. It's just not something you see all that often. And lastly, on the Batsuits is Rego Man, the source for Robin's outfit in the movie. The dreadlock cowl is a piece I've never knew that I needed until now, plus it's got a great tie into the movie. Need I say more? Okay, so that wraps up all in all 17 figures that I think would have to be included if a second wave of Lego Batman movie minifigures are to be released. In reality, the wave would probably have 20 characters just like the first one, so there would be an extra 3 slots, but these are just my suggestions. So let me know in the comments if there are any other characters you'd like to see fill in the remaining 3 spots. Personally, I think something like Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face would be cool. Doesn't necessarily tie into the movie. I would love Scarecrow, so anything Scarecrow related. So yeah, let me know who else you'd love to see if there was a second wave. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to see more toy news, top 10 lists, toy hunts, reviews, and lots more nerdy things. There's links to our social media accounts in the description, so if you want to follow us there, you can find out more about what we do. Stay sweet.